All right. Topic 2. Let's give this a listen. I think this is going to play from some source. And we're going to have Vanessa give us a little bit of a story here on Builder.ai. And then really we're going to get into this Apple research thing. Actually, I want to maybe let's watch this Builder thing first, and then we'll get into the Apple, because this one is, I think it can be pretty surprising for those of you that are not familiar. It was actually very surprising when I first heard it. Okay, here we go.
Also saw the recent scandal with Builder.ai. If you're not familiar, it was a London-based startup that claimed to essentially build software using AI. Their AI, Natasha, would ask you questions and present you with a full-fledged software application. However, their AI turned out to be actually Indians. Apparently, the startup was employing more than 700 software engineers in India, which is honestly quite impressive. These software engineers must have been using AI because I just don't know how they were able to have that quick of a turnaround time without using some type of AI. So honestly, I'm impressed. Builder.ai raised over $450 million and received investment from Microsoft. They recently announced that they were filing for bankruptcy and closing down.
Okay. So the first thing I want to say, and I'm just giving you facts here. I'm not going to give you my opinion. I'm just going to, so this whole, let's try to clarify when we're talking about facts and talking about opinions. So the cyberpunk thing, I don't know, like, if they could have done it the correct way. Maybe they could, maybe they couldn't. I don't know the facts, so I can't say. One thing I can share is, based on the data I have, it's supposedly factual that not only did Builder AI or Engineer AI do this, Amazon did this. Amazon had these auto checkout stores, Whole Foods or something. I'm not sure, but there were small spaces of these grocery stores in special areas that basically did automatic analysis of your items and automatic like checkout, right? And they were saying it was all AI, when in fact it was not AI at all. It was a whole bunch of Indians that were watching these cameras and then figuring out which thing was being purchased. And for those of you that might be a little skeptical, did Amazon use Indians as video analysis for their AI grocery store? Yes. Yes. All right. So those of you who think that this is novel, like, good on Builder AI or Engineer AI to figure out the hack to make it look like it's AI. It's entirely possible that they're not the ones that innovated to invent this super hack. They were actually learning from Amazon. This is not great, right? Again, I'm just going to openly say, this is some nonsense. This is like a blatant lie. You are lying to the public. You're doing something super disingenuous. And like, we should make sure that we continue to hold companies accountable for doing disingenuous things when they are, because there's a lot of companies out there that are not doing disingenuous things. They're trying to do it the right way. And then they get scooped by these folks that are essentially cheating. They're lying. They're committing some degree of fraud. And did Amazon get a slap on the hand? Maybe. I don't know. But like, this is not great, right? It's really not a good thing for companies to be doing. It's certainly not a good thing for one of the biggest companies in the United States that a lot of us know and love and use on a daily basis, for them to be doing something that's so openly unethical. That's the key thing, is like, if they did something that maybe was error prone, like it didn't perfectly work, I think people would be okay with this. But this is like the thing about this is oftentimes when people have behaviors, you can't associate intention with the behavior. So let's say that Taylor and I have a meeting and Taylor misses the meeting. I don't know why Taylor's missed the meeting. Like maybe he's blowing me off and he just didn't want to go to the meeting. Maybe he's caught up in traffic. Maybe there was a personal event in his life where he couldn't make the meeting. So the point is that we foster goodwill. We foster goodwill because like we don't know and we want to believe that the person or the people are doing the right thing, but they just had a bad behavior. So then we talk to the person and say, well, that behavior wasn't super great. I'm sure you had all the right reasons, but like, don't do that again. Now try to apply that logic to this. Like what do we say to foster goodwill here? How do we foster goodwill for Amazon and Builder AI to where we can be like, well, look, we know that the behavior was wrong, but they actually had the best intentions. Their intentions were super wholesome, and what their intentions were that they were going to lie to you and use these humans to basically cover for the fact that they didn't have the technology that they thought they had or they were claiming they had, and they didn't know that the technology couldn't do this. That doesn't make sense, because if they didn't know it could do this, they wouldn't have hired all these folks to do it manually. So you can see how this is one of those rare cases where we understand what their intentions were. Their intention is deception. It has to be. Like, it unfortunately has to be deception, because they were saying it was AI powered, yet it was not. It was actually relying on humans to do this. So we know it's disingenuous. We know that they know they're lying. Their intention is not good. And that's a really bad place to be in, right? Again, it's okay. Like in the cyberpunk example, we go back to the competency and care. And if it's lack of competency, we're kind of like, well, that's kind of sad. But you can see how that could be the case. Also, if it's lack of care, you could also kind of be like, well, I could kind of understand there's, the game was not in a good state. It shows maybe they were rushed. And so maybe their intentions were wholesome. They just kind of screwed up, right? In both of those cases, I think it's like forgivable, because we can in our heads foster goodwill and make up a story that supports them. We can't do that here. Or at least I can't do that here. I don't know how you say, oh, they did, but they didn't know that the tech wasn't going to work. And so then when they figured it out, they were already on the hook. And so they just had to like lie about it. No, they didn't. They could have, even if they found out at the end, after they already announced this and were like, this is never going to work, then they just pulled the plug on it. This is a multi-trillion-dollar company that we expect to be honest to us. So do the honest thing. Don't do this thing, because when you do this, like, it's not so much about the fact that you would lose profits, that you would potentially lose faith from your investors because like you're not getting the success that you want. The bigger thing is the burning of trust, because like there's this saying, it takes a lifetime to build trust. It takes a moment to destroy it. This is the moment. This is the moment. And this is also a moment. Is that, and just so we're clear on this, this one's potentially even worse in that engineer AI, they got found out that they were using people for their system to basically, they're trying to say that their system can automatically develop these software systems fully through their AI. And so you would just basically sketch out what you want, and then their system would build it. And from day one, they were basically doing this with engineer.ai, and people found out about it. So then what they did to get away from the negative press is they changed their name. Now, there may be another company that you have seen do this, where they had this name and it's like this thing, and then it's also a thing that you read, and now their name is something else. And a lot of people speculate that that was done because there's so much bad vibes from the name of that former company, because they did a bunch of like sort of disingenuous, not great things, that they were changing their name to disassociate with all like the bad actor stuff that happened in their past. A lot of people believe that this is why they changed their name here. Now, before we move on, I think there's one more piece of this that I want to share that is really important to understand. This company supposedly raised, I think she was mentioning they raised like $250 million or something. Now, when you raise that much money, in almost all cases, you have something. You will have something that will lead to some kind of acquisition. Like it'll be an acqui-hire, it will be full acquisition for the technology, it will be whatever. To see a company that's raised $200+ million and then is going into insolvency, that's crazy. But it kind of makes sense, because you'd have to think about this from the perspective of people know that Builder.ai are unfortunately fraudulent. I don't know how else to put it. It's sort of like, this is fraud. You are openly lying about how this works, and that's not great, right? And so this is also fraudulent. And then think about the impact or the potential ramifications of a company that would acquire another company that's known for committing fraud. Who's going to do that? Probably not many people. So this is one of the reasons why you should go slow. You should do it the right way, like, or the best way that you can. Like, and again, I'm not trying to be some kind of ethical superhero. I make all kinds of mistakes, but usually my mistakes are, we're moving too fast and I slightly break something, or we're not able to deliver on the entire feature set because it's just we bit off more than we can chew. But it's not like, oh, we're going to totally fabricate all of these numbers or all of these features and like openly lie to the public. And the big thing I think to think about it is there's this quote and this sort of notion that a person can achieve and lose their wealth many times over in their life, but once their reputation is destroyed, there's sort of no coming back from this. I think the way that the quote has it is like their confidence, but I think actually reputation is more fitting. And I'm a strong believer on this, is that I don't know who. Think about like Elizabeth Holmes, the CEO of Theranos. You're kind of cooked. You're kind of cooked for the rest of your life. You're not just cooked in the moment, right? Like, for example, while I really hope Merle succeeds and goes on to do incredible things, we're doing things as best we can with the highest degree of integrity. Like, we're just trying to do everything that we can. And if things go sideways with Merle, that can happen, but I'll just keep going. We'll just go on to the next thing and try to do better next time. And my hope is that in the process, we won't do anything that is going to upset our incredible investors and people that we work with, even our customers. So then if there is a second try at this, we'll still have those people in our court, right? But when you have an error like this, that's this egregious, there tends to not be any coming back from this, is that you're done. So the takeaway here is move slower, maybe. Still try to get incredible things done, but move slower so you don't end up doing something so unethical that you get in a situation where if people find out about it, that you're cooked. I think it should be pretty obvious in some sense that if you're ever in a space where you're asking yourself, should I do this? because the ramifications, like, I know this is kind of a bad actor thing. The moment that you get to that realization, I think you should just be like, I'm not doing it. And there's many things that you can do in the space of startups and the space of life that sort of like will get you an outcome or get you approximately close to things. But I think it's when you become so focused on this specific thing that you can't achieve, that then you start to look at all the various ways that you can achieve it. And that's when you start to include some of the things that are just openly unethical. So keeping this, I think, in the back of your mind and realizing that I mean, if anything, it's just like scaring you straight. My hope is that everyone on GTT would look at this and say, yeah, I'd never do that anyway. But, hard times, I know hard times can get people to do really bad things, but understanding that when you're in that, if you make that mistake, it could be completely unrecoverable. It could be that you're done now and there's no coming back.